Hey guys, Misty Skies again. I have two Watership Down stories. Omen of Visions, which is completed, and The Evil Within, which is in process. I decided, you know what? Why not do a fanfic reading? So, here we are. I hope you all enjoy it. This chapter is told entirely from Dandelion's point of view. Enjoy. This place sure is beautiful. Skye looked onward, the grass still damp from the rains that we've had. The sky was filled with gray clouds, the moon hidden. The air was cool, but it wasn't too cold. She was right. It is beautiful. I looked at my sister as she stared out into the field. Her light brown fur darkened by the night and rain. Her blue eyes shined like diamonds compared to my green ones. Her tuft of fur on her head was blowing back thanks to the light wind coming from the sky. She was the perfect resemblance of my mother. Correction, she was the perfect resemblance of her mother. Her mother didn't want me because I was the only surviving kid of my litter. Her excuse was that she didn't want a weakling and pushed me away, not even acknowledge me as her son. Because she felt sorry for me, Snow, Bluebell's mother, took me in so that I could live. That's why Bluebell and I are so close, and because of that, I feel like I actually have a brother, and I'm happy to call Bluebell my brother. Shaking my thoughts out of my head, I realized that I didn't even answer Skye's question. Of course it is. It's home, isn't it? I asked her, and she smiled softly. How long until it feels like home? She asked, and I looked at her confused. What do you mean? This is home. I comforted her, leaning on her shoulder, and she shook her head in disagreement. No, something's wrong. Mainly with Patan, Skye confessed, and I shook my head. Trust me when I say this, but I know Bluebell better than anyone. And he's often got his head in the clouds, I told her, and she shook her head, looking down. Be that as it may, I still think something's wrong, especially with his siblings concerned. I sighed. Skye has what I like to call a fiver sense when it comes to sensing emotions. She hasn't been wrong so far, so I believe her, even when I don't see what she sees. If you say something's wrong, then something's wrong. You talk to Silverwing. See if you can get something out of her. I'll talk to Bluebell, I told her, and she nodded and headed for the thicket, while I went to where the Silverwing was. That's where Bluebell is typically at this time of night. I hopped toward the silver-pelted buck and sat beside him. Hey, Dandelion, Bluebell welcomed, chewing a leaf. What's new? I could ask you the same thing, I told him, and he looked confused by my statement and tilted his head to the side. I don't understand. Is it something I did? He asked, and I shook my head. Skye had a feeling that something's wrong between you and your siblings. I got straight to the point, and he bent his ears back. What? Well, nothing's wrong, and nothing's right either. Everything's fine, Dandelion. Just like always. I'm fine, like always, and you're fine, like always. Everything is fine, like always, he confessed, stammering a bit. I stared into his blue eyes to see if I could tell if he was telling the truth. He was not. Then how come I don't believe you? I asked him, and he shook for a moment. Dandelion, I'm fine. Nothing more, nothing less. I'll see you tomorrow. He bid me farewell and hopped towards the honeycomb. I sighed, closing my eyes, shaking my head, and looking down. If I can't get through to him, then nobody can. Besides his immediate family, I'm the only one he trusts to tell secrets to. Skye and I will have to find out another way. Anything? I asked my sister as I joined her to the entrance to the honeycomb. No, she just shut me out. And by the looks of it, Patan did too. She confessed and sighed, looking down. What are we gonna do? I know something's up. I just know it! She exclaimed, and I shushed her, looking to see if anyone heard her. Luckily, no one did. We have to keep this to ourselves until further notice, I told her, and she narrowed her eyes. Why? The more help we have, the more chances we have of getting an answer, right? She asked, and I shook my head. No. If more rabbits know about this, the less likely that Bluebell or Silverwing will tell us anything at all. If anything, we have to keep this between you and me. If and when we find out that something's wrong with them, and it's bad, and it may be life-threatening, we tell Hazel, Clover, and Bigwig immediately, not before, I told her, and she nodded. If we tell Flaley and it's bad, aren't you worried that he'll go off on whoever's hurting them? Skye asked, and I nodded. Oh, I'm aware. That's why we need to tell him, I confessed, and she smiled as we walked to our den. Don't forget Blackberry, she commented, and I chuckled, past memories flowing through my head. Okay, forget. I asked Skye, giggling. Remember when Blaze shoved Bluebell in a mud puddle when we were kids? She asked, and I laughed. That memory's still fresh in my mind. How can I forget? Bluebell was talking to me and Blackberry. He's looking as bored as ever, and Blaze comes and shoves him in the mud puddle hard. Blackberry attacked him and told him never to mess with Bluebell again. He ended up getting in trouble, but he was glad to do it. I relived that memory. Skye is younger than me by a month. She was the only kid in her litter, incredibly rare. Her mother loved her unconditionally, treating her amazing and loved her to pieces. Skye didn't understand why her mother rejected me. Now she does. We softly laughed and hugged each other goodnight. Goodnight, Dell, she commented, using my nickname as she curled up in a ball in our bed. Goodnight, Blue Jay. I curled up next to her using her nickname. My nickname for her is because when I first met her, her eyes reminded me of a jay's wing. Her nickname for me is just my name, shortened. I mean, how can you work with Dandelion? It just doesn't work like that. I yawned and fell asleep, memories floating inside my head of our kidhood. Dandelion! Skye called out, sounding scared. I got it from where I was and ran towards my younger sister's voice. I growled as I saw what was happening. Blackbird! He was hurting Bluebell. He threw the silver-pelted rabbit in the air and kicked him in the stomach, knocking his head into a tree. Silverwing screamed. Hey! Leave him alone! I yelled, attacking the much bigger rabbit, biting at his neck. We tussled around for a while before he decided that he was taking it slow with me. You're finished, Kit. Blackbird threatened me. He unexpectedly threw me in the air, and then he slammed me to the ground back first. I heard a crack, and I screamed. I couldn't feel my hind legs. It's as if they had just gone cold. Dandelion! Skye screamed. She was crying from fear. I breathed heavily and tried to get up, but I could not. I collapsed from pain and clawed the ground in anger without moving my paws. Blackbird had really done it now. Hazel is going to kill him. Ahin! I saw Hazel, Blackberry, and Bigwig run towards us. Hazel looked mad as ever. Blackberry only had eyes for Bluebell and I, and Bigwig looked like he was about to kill someone. You have attacked two of your own, knocked out Bluebell, and hurt Dandelion. I've had enough of your recklessness. You are hereby exiled. I never want to see you near Watership Down for as long as you are breathing. Hazel growled, getting Blackbird's face. He showed no fear. Blackbird growled, but backed off. Very well, Your Highness. He mocked and hopped away, hopefully to never be seen again. Dandelion, are you okay? Blackberry asked, running towards me. I shook my head, gritting my teeth to try and ignore the pain in my legs. What hurts? Hazel asked, kneeling beside me, and I sighed, combined with a gasp of pain. My hind legs. I can't feel my hind legs, and they feel cold. I confess. Bigwig went to inspect my hind legs. He lifted them lightly. Nothing. He bit into them, drawing some blood. Nothing. Whatever he did to my hind legs, I could not feel them. You can't feel them, can you? Hazel asked, and I shook my head. No, I can't. I expressed, my voice cracking as tears threatened to spill. I was scared, terrified even. Would I ever run again? Blackberry, help me get him to his den. Bigwig, get Bluebell to Fiver. Girls, go find Clover, Hawkbit, and Hyacinthite. Let them know what's happened. Have them wait in front of the medicine den. Hazel ordered, already helping me up. They got me to my den and laid me down. Are you okay? Blackberry asked, and I shook my head slowly. What's going to happen? I asked. Blackberry's normally hard and expressionate eyes were now softened. filled with sorrow. He was scared. I looked at Hazel, and he was scared too. Me? I'm terrified. I don't know, Hazel admitted. I looked down and he put his paw under my chin, and he had me look at him. But know this, you will always be one of us. You will always be our ally and our friend, one way or another. I smiled slightly and thanked Frith that I had such wonderful friends. Hazel, my ears perked up as I saw Fiver. Maybe we'll finally get an answer. Fiver, Blackbird threw him down, back first to the ground. He can't feel his hind legs. Blackbird slightly bent him and he felt nothing. Hazel told him, and Fiver gave him a questionable look. I'm not even gonna ask, he expressed, walking towards me. He felt along my spine. I could only feel his paw on the first half of it. You can't feel me touching your hind legs or anything above your middle back and no further? He asked, and I shook my head. I couldn't find my voice. He sighed, sitting between Hazel and Blackberry. He looked at me sadly. You're paralyzed, Dandelion. You'll never run again. Fiver told me, and my world crumbled. I can't ever run again? How could that happen? No. Fiver was explaining some things, but I didn't even hear him at all. My ears had tuned out. I was in my own mind. Never run again? This can't happen. Blackbird, you caused this? I bet that Blue doesn't even know. How will I tell him? A growl echoed in the caves. Bright blue eyes glowed inside them. A light brown bunny stepped out. Skye. She had an evil look in her eyes. She unsheathed her claws and growled loudly. He will pay. She yelled, running out of the cave, clawing it on the way out. She was going to kill him. I jolted awake, breathing heavily. What was that? Was that a dream? An omen? I thought only Piper had those, not me. Whatever it is, my sister's no killer. Why would I have a dream about that? I looked over at Skye. She was sound asleep, breathing softly. I sighed and smiled at the younger doe. I hope that that's not the future. Bluebell said that he's fine. Silverwing said that she's fine. Blackbird may be a little messed up, but he wouldn't harm one of his own, would he? But I have to think rationally. Is Blackbird really capable of paralyzing me?